That show aired a couple of years ago, and it's kind of funny actually. It's very creepy, but it's kind of funny. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't make sense, but anyways, we're gonna move on from that. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well within the stay-at-home order that is either enforced or not enforced in your own homes. I hope that you guys are safe and that your families are healthy. Let's get to it though. Everybody knows what live TV is. When I say live TV, most of what comes to your head is newscasters, or there's game shows or competitions and Bachelorette. Right now, live TV is kind of being beaten out by YouTube because YouTube does not have as many advertisements or commercials as live television. And YouTube, there's way more content. The videos vary in length. You don't have to stay for a full hour to watch your show. You could just watch a random 10-minute clip of something. Like on my channel, I have 10-minute clips, and if you check it out and subscribe, you will learn even more.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
And on YouTube, there's a variety of different content and content creators that you can look at. But I'm not talking about the difference between YouTube and television. I'm actually talking about the anatomy of a television show that's live aired. That's kind of what I'm going to, those are the parameters that I'm taking. Because there are streaming services that have their own television series, like Netflix has a ton of them. I also know Hulu and HBO also have some television series that they've been airing on their streaming services and platforms, but that's completely different than what I'm talking about. So creatively, if you want to shoot a television show that's not The Mandalorian, you gotta take into account what your audience is looking for. But there's also the parameters of the time limit that you have. So think about it. If you have a show that's supposed to run for this hour time slot, that's not your actual time limit. So let's do a little bit of math. So you have an hour of showtime, but that takes into account commercial breaks and advertisements. Before I move on, I just wanted to ask you guys to please consider subscribing because over 75% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. So if you really like what I'm doing and you want to watch more, consider subscribing to my channel so that you get more content like this. So you have an hour of showtime. So that also means you have to cut your story up into at least 5 different parts. So if you go onto Netflix or Hulu or whatever, if you go on Netflix and look for a show that was live aired, this show was an hour show, but you look at the actual time of it, it's probably around 42 to 46 minutes. So let's just say 46 minutes at most of showtime. So you have 14 minutes of commercial breaks. That wasn't too hard, right? It was just basic, simple addition and subtraction. I can do math, I can do it, it's okay. Bazinga. And commercial breaks, it varies between networks. Most of the time they happen every 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes more or less. But let's stick to the 8 to 10 intervals of when you have commercial breaks. So 14 minutes divided by, let's say there's 5 commercial breaks, and so that leaves you with 2.8 minutes of commercials. So each break is about 2.8 minutes if we divide evenly. This is also all in speculation, and if we're dividing it perfectly equal, which does not happen. So if you go to a television show and you watch it and you're like, that was not 2.8 minutes of commercials, it was a solid 3, I'm going to sue this channel. Don't do that, please. This is all just in speculation, and we're just like evenly distributing all of these commercial breaks. It really depends on what kind of commercials they are and what kind of money they bought with it and all of this different stuff that goes into making a television show.
You got your pastrami, coleslaw. Okay, where's the french fries? I ordered french fries. This stinks! This is total BS! Eddie Vermoyen's gonna... Oh, here they are.
So you've got your showtime, then 2.8 minutes of commercials, then a show, then 2.8 minutes of commercials, and keep going. So we've all developed that very neatly and nicely. A lot of the times what happens is that in television shows with commercial breaks, they don't really go by seconds, they actually go by frames sometimes, but that's beyond the scope of this study, so we're just gonna keep going. That was just a nice little thing that I wanted to let you guys know. It just gets really complicated down the line. I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible in terms that people can understand, which is terms of time. Time is universal, it's great. Okay, so within those 5 little chunks of showtime, you need to get your main story in. So the actual content of this is what the writers have to produce and generate in order to, you know, grab audience's attention and give them entertainment. Which is really hard to do, by the way. I wrote a small short film that was like gonna be 7 minutes, 7 minutes long at most, and it was a beast. Like, I just went through the ringer with that, and my teachers were very kind to me, but we're gonna move on from that. But that content has to be meaty and engaging and entertaining at the same time. It has to hit your ethos, pathos, logos in order to satisfy your amusement. Let's take a show of example. Let's take the show Blacklist and divide the genres up. So mainly, Blacklist is a crime detective drama with romance and mystery. So those are 3 genres at least. It's also a thriller and all these other things. But I'm taking those 3 genres, those are the ones we're going to concentrate on. If you've watched the show Blacklist, you know that it's a crime detective show, mainly. That is your A plot. That is the plot line that you are there for and you're following. Blacklist is this highbrow criminal who becomes a government informant based on certain terms. But that's the main thing, so it's a crime and detective show so that they're gonna like follow these people that he's leading them to. But you've also got your subplots, which is the romance and mystery genre categories. Those are your B plots. The ones that you didn't expect when you came in, but that's what they gave you, and that's what keeps you going. Because eventually you're gonna probably run out of criminals to chase and you're only focusing on B plots for at least 2 or 3 episodes in a season. So on top of the main plot, you've got at least 2 or 3 subplots riding underneath. And then on some point during the story, your 1 or 2 subplots will connect with the main story up above and provide you with the solution to that A plot's problem. And that's kind of the structure of what stories are in live television. And then you break that up in between the different commercial breaks so it keeps you coming back for more. So the story is very, very complicated actually, because you have these 5 segments of the show that you're trying to run. You want people to keep waiting for the commercials to be over so you can come back to it. But you also need to give them the satisfaction that they've watched something worth their time. So content-wise, this is very complicated and it's a very delicate art that's slowly dying out, I'm sad to say.
2, 3, 4.
Specifically in America, their attention span is so short that they need constant entertainment and reason to come back to the show in order to be a loyal watcher of the series. I'm a victim of this as well. I need a reason to stay till the end of the series or even to the end of the episode. What can happen, especially on a CW show like that, they've gotten it down so that they know how to keep your attention and to understand the human mind so that we are constantly entertained and also given what we want from an episode. Or need from an episode, that's probably better. Say for instance, let's take the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. That show aired a couple of years ago and it's kind of funny actually. It's very creepy, but it's kind of funny. So Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the premise is this girl moves to another city across the nation from New York all the way to California to stalk her ex-boyfriend and become involved in his life. And she accomplishes this through montages of musical numbers. It's kind of funny. We're not really seeing a common theme. So let's just take a random episode. I'm not referring to one episode, I'm just referring to a structure in general. So there's this girl and she's following her ex-boyfriend and she runs into a problem. She really wants to go to his family reunion with him. She really wants to go to this family reunion, but she can't really invite herself, so she has to get him to invite her and think that it was his idea, thus ingraining their lives together. It's kind of ridiculous. So through that you have that plot, you have that main plot of her trying to get to the family reunion. But of course there's complications that runs along, so she meets up with his best friend and he's not invited to the family reunion. And she's like, oh no, if he doesn't get invited and he's his best friend, then how am I gonna get invited over there? And then let's say there's a B plot of this family dynamic that her ex-boyfriend has. So she has to solve that during the party. Oh my goodness, what is happening? And then she's solving his life, and then at the end she doesn't know if she's ruined it or actually damaged their relationship or, you know, made her a better figure in his eyes. We don't know what's gonna happen, and that's why we have to stick to the last episode, and then something at the end of the episode will reveal something that we have to watch in the next series, the next episode next week. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't make sense.
You got it, dude.
That's kind of the complications that you have to go through in order to create a television series live aired. What TV shows have you guys been watching recently? It can be anything from, you know, science fiction to rom-coms. It's kind of hilarious how many comments I get down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday. I will see you on the other side of the screen.